Welcome everyone who is here. If you've got any questions, please type them into the live chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to be going over basic catalogs, how to create catalogs, adding items to catalogs, and then we've got about 4 main types of editors for our catalogs. And I'm just going to show an example of each of those and how they're a bit different and how you can navigate them. So it's all very easy, all very basic stuff. And so let's just jump right in. So I'm using a space that I populated in the previous webinar, and it's got catalogs from the Ghost Hunter sample and the Walking Tour sample, and 1 or 2 other test catalogs that I put in so far. So let's just take a look at one of them. I'm going to open the Ghost Characters, for example. So the Ghost Characters is an example of what I would call a general type of catalog, and it is the general catalog editor. You'll see your items on the side, on the left-hand side. You'll see other catalogs on the right-hand side, and then whatever item that you've selected here on the left is the one that you'll be editing here. So say Casper, first name, and friendly his last name, and then I can always hit save. So the general editor is very, very simple to understand, not too much there. You can swap between different editors using this menu on the right hand side. So as you can see, I've got different items again on the left, different items on the right. So that's pretty basic. There's not much need to go into more detail with the general editor. Very straightforward. So let's look at one that's slightly different. Let's look at a media catalog. And again, I could come over here and maybe look at some ghost images. And I can switch between these catalogs here. But as you can see, I've got this drop files upload section here. And so I can actually take media files and add them to this particular media catalog there. Or I could click on a new item and then choose a media item this way. Either use one which I've already uploaded, or I can browse for a particular file and upload it like that. So actually, let's create a media catalog from scratch and add an item to it. So what you'll be using the media item or media catalogs for in general is a way to organize the various images and sounds and maybe videos that you want to use in an experience. So let's call this test media for now. And we're creating a media item catalog. And as you can see, there's lots of different types. But for now, just do the media item. So one way to do it is to drop in an item there, a file there. So I'm going to show what that looks like. So I've got a picture of a tree. I'll just drop that in. You'll see it upload here. Great. And I'll just call that tree. I don't need the file extension there. I'll hit save. 1 or more files up that way. Another way is for me to come in here to actually choose the item this way. So I'll browse for a particular piece of media, and I've got this sound of birds, and then I'll click upload. And I'll just call that save. And once that's in there, I can actually test this, and you can hear the sound of the birds. And then finally, the last type is maybe I've used a piece of media in another catalog somewhere, and I want to reuse it in this catalog here. So maybe I use that gold coin in another scenario, but I think it's going to be helpful to have it grouped with this media as well. So I'll choose it there. Say great, and I'll say this is my gold coin. And this is just a way for you to organize the different pieces of media that you may use in your experience. So that's really it for media catalogs. It's very helpful to upload and create a media catalog for anything that you're going to use in your experience. And then you can create collectibles from those items later. So maybe let's do that. So a collectible item is something that is a good example of a general catalog. So I'll come into assets here, and I'm going to create a new one when I'm on the assets tab. Now, as you can see, I've got my choice now of which type I'm going to use. Lots of different ones. I'm going to use collectible in this case. Let's say, so collectibles. As long as I haven't already named one, test collectibles, which we'll find out in a second. Great, looks like I haven't. And you can see it's right over here. Now I'm going to create a new item, and I'm going to say this is my my gold coin collectible item, which is different than that of the media item I created a moment ago. So I'm going to select an image from that, and the image is going to look at the media catalogs which exist. And so I've created this one earlier, test media, and I'll see that I have my image of a gold coin there. So the media catalogs hold these pieces of media, whereas the collectible can use a piece of an item from a media catalog, which then you can use to collect in your experience. So shiny gold coin. And I'll hit save there. And again, I'm on this general editor screen, all very simple. So that's about it for media catalogs and for general catalogs. So let's look at location catalogs. And I'll create my own. Again, you can always access a location catalog here by clicking on this on a location catalog on the right-hand side. This is an existing one that we use for the walking tour. I'm going to create my own from scratch. So again, I'll come back to assets. I'll click create. This time, I'm going to look for a location catalog. Let's say test locations. And hopefully I haven't named one of that already. So here's locations catalog editor. So as you can see, if you prefer to use a different style, we've got that in there. If you like one or another, that's fine. I'm going to go back to topographics. I think that's pretty cool. And whereas before on the other catalogs, I would click new item here, but for locations, I just would click a particular spot and say my new point and hit apply. Now, as you can see, I can have it be recognized as a certain type of location if that's relevant in my experience. I can use it to be part of a story tag which already exists. The story tags is something I'll get into in another webinar. But essentially, it's a grouping of location types where you can place certain things or have certain things happen. And again, I can manually edit the latitude and longitude. But for now, I'll just use a basic point of saying, this is my point, it's here. That's going to be relevant to my experience in a little bit. So now I've got my new catalog. Remember to always hit save. Maybe you need a quick way to jump to a new location. So I can just type it in here and I can jump very quickly over to another spot and it will put this in, and I could say I want to add this location as, Dublin City Center. Apply. That's there. And at any point I can say, well, you know what, I need to get back to that point in Vancouver I created a second ago. So I can click on the point and it'll jump me right to that spot. I can zoom in with a mouse scroll, or I can zoom in using these keys here. So again, there it is. And that's really the basics of creating locations. Now, if I ever want to edit one, I can just simply click on it. This menu will pop up. I can click edit, and I can change any of the values that exist. But for now, that's good. And if I want to delete the point, I can jump over to the point, click edit, click delete. There it is. And then remember to hit save. And then always it can be recentered on clicking on any point. So that's the editor for locations. And again, if you want to ever access any of the other catalogs on the side, so maybe you've got another set of locations, you can always click on it and find it on the right-hand side. So we've looked at general, which could be characters, collectibles, that type of a thing, crafting recipes. All of those could be, I would say, considered general catalog editors. Whereas if you look at media, as we did a moment ago. Those are slightly different because you have that ability to upload. And there's our media catalog. So behaves slightly differently, but overall generally pretty similar. Let's just make it a tree. And then locations, which has a very different interface, using this this map and not being able to create a new item there, but you create it by clicking on the map itself. And so finally, then let's look at script catalogs, because those are what are the driver for your entire experience, and it's very important to understand how they work. So I'll create a new one, and I'll just call it My Scripts. So what I'm creating here, I'll actually call it My Script Catalog because that's more accurate. So I've got this catalog of scripts. Now I have one main script in it to begin with, and one folder is main. I can add another folder if I want, say, tours, for example. I've got one there, and then I can add scripts inside of it. So this is for one. As soon as I add a script, it will take me into the script editor itself. So before I do that, I'm just going to go back to the catalog and finish this off. So I can then copy, move, delete these scripts. So I could just hit delete there, and that one will be gone. I'll need to confirm that. You want to be very sure that you want to delete something when you delete it. I can rename a folder. So I can say, tours, for example. And I'll give a quick overview of the script editor as well, because I think it's quite important to understand how script editor works, because this is where you'll be doing the majority of your work. So whereas the script catalog is made up of one or more scripts, a script is made up of one or more frames. And the frames are listed on the left-hand side, and you can see it's got a main frame here. You can add another frame by clicking this button, or if I want to delete that one, I can click it or add another one by clicking that one. Up to you. You can reorder frames, so I'll call this one, subframe 1, for example. And I'll add a second, and I'll call this one subframe 2. Okay, save. Now I can reorder these if I want, and I can put them in different positions. So you can see that there are these little highlighted boxes here where I can swap them, or I can kind of put them at a different level as well. So if you want to rearrange how the frames are ordered on this side, you have the ability to do that. So a frame, while we can have many frames in a given script, an individual frame, which can be edited here. So always when you're editing a highlighted item on the left, you'll be doing that in the center. The frame is made up of 3 parts. There's the precondition, the resources that are inside of the frame, and a postcondition. Now, a precondition is simply going to evaluate to true or false and say, is this true? And if it's true, then unlock the resources. So one example would say, if it's daytime, I would like to, let's say, place a map marker at the location from the test catalogs, which we created, called My New Point. So this reads, if you like, if it's daytime, please place this marker. You hit save, and then that's it. This right-hand side is full of the various resources that you can drag into the frame. Now you can have more than one resource in a frame if you like. So I could say I'd also like location valuable in here as well. And you can add as many as you want. And this is still all in the same frame. So I'm going to get rid of these just to avoid any confusion on this side. So everything is still happening in the main frame. So I can add, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources. I would advise that you use, only as many as makes sense. You can use, it makes more sense to kind of subdivide your frames and even your scripts into smaller digestible pieces, so you can easily rearrange them or reuse them if you wish. So As you can see there, I've got more than one resource, and up on this side on the preconditions, and maybe it's not enough that I know that it's daytime. Maybe I need another condition as well. So we have this thing called a compound condition, which lets you use one or more frames, or sorry, one or more conditions, pardon me. So I'll say, not only do I want it to be day, I want it to be day, and I want to add another one, which says, I'll do a different one than daylight this time, and I need to be close to this particular location. And I might even say another one, which I could use an inventory condition and say, so it needs to be daytime, and I need to be within 25 meters of this point. Now, remember when we're talking about distance, everything is done in meters. So just be mindful of that. So I'll say I need to have I need to have at least one gold coin, and I'll use that media item that we created, the collectible that we created a minute ago. So now in this case, this compound condition reads, if it's daytime and I'm within 25 meters of this location and I have at least one gold coin, then drop this marker and assign these valuables to a location. So that's really the basics of how this works for a given frame. Now, as you can see, there are lots and lots and lots of resources you can use, and there are lots of conditions that you can use. So how you want to combine these is going to be up to you, and how you want to have your experience play out is really going to be based on how you want your experience to progress and to move forward. So I think I will take a look at this point if there are any questions, or if any questions have been asked in the Hangout. I'm not sure. No one, have you seen any questions in there that have been? So I'm just scrolling through the questions, and I think no one has done a good job of answering the questions as they've come up. If there are any other questions, I'll leave just a moment for people to type those in. Otherwise, I will do a quick review again of what we've done, and then we'll catch you the next time. And again, I apologize for the audio delay. So I see I'm creating an app in a town near the sea. I want the collectibles to be shells. So in one place or marker there to be one shell. If you want different types of shells or shells to be, well, it'll be up to you. So you could do that in a few ways. So one way to be, so the question is you've got 8 different collectibles, for example, and each one is a different type of shell. If you want to have those placed at places, at various points, one way to do that is to create a number of different locations, and to say, especially if you're doing this in one specific town, if that's the case, you'll need to create a number of different points. So you could create, I'll just create 2 here, for example. The C1 and near the C2. Apply, okay, and I'll hit save. So now I've got 2 spots. I'm going to use the coin as the shell, but it's up to you to say if you want to put different things in different places. But if you've got, let's just see what I've got here for possible collectibles other than the coin. I'll add where I need to go to my media item, for example. Just a second. Go back to my media catalog, and I'll go to test media, and I'll add a new item, and maybe I'll give a gold star. Gold star. So I've got gold coins and gold stars, I guess. So now I've got 2 points near the sea, and I've got 2 different media items. So now I'm going to add this media item as a collectible that I can use in my experience. And I could say I'm going to add a new item, and that's going to be gold star. Save. And then I can come to my scripts. Oh, wrong one. My script catalog. And I'll come into main. And I'm going to delete these in this case. So delete this, delete this. So first thing to do would be to, first thing to do would be to save. So I'll hit save quickly. I'll drag a map marker over and add a catalog or a location from the location catalog. I'll say near the C1, and I want to say save. So now this will just place one marker near the sea. I'll add another one, and I'll place the other one near the sea as well. So the other near the sea marker. So now I'll have 2 markers on the map. So then I'll add a subcondition which says when someone gets within, let's say 20 meters of the first point, I want to add to their inventory. And I'll say a collectible. I'll add 1, test collectibles, and I'll say a gold coin. So when you get within 20 meters of near the C1, you'll get this collectible. So I'll hit save. So these are collect. Add another subframe. In this one, same thing. So location proximity condition. I'll use the second location which I made, and I'll use the second point. Again, I'll say 20 meters. Add to inventory. Collectibles. Test collectibles. Gold star. And I'll collect 1 there, and I'll rename that as well. So collect gold star. Save. And then I can also have a condition depending on where you want this to live. That's up to you. But you can use an inventory condition which says I need, actually, pardon me, I want to use a compound condition. So I'll say and I'll use 2 inventory conditions. And I'll say it's got to have greater than 0, so meaning more than none. Collectibles, so a gold coin. And then I'll add a second inventory condition. So it's going to say that I need to have at least 1 gold coin and at least 1 star, or sorry, greater than 0. So I'll add 1 more gold star there. So now this says if I have more than 0 gold coins and more than 0 gold stars, then do a particular thing. Maybe you'll play a piece of audio as a reward sound, or whatever you like. Drag in whatever resources you want at this point when these conditions are true, and then it will be a case of someone will walk to the first point near the sea, collect the gold coin. Someone will walk to, or that person walks to the near the sea 2 point, collects the gold star, and then the whatever resources will play because the condition will then be true. So I'll just see test media, got the bird sound, why not? Put in 100 and then hit save, and you're good. So I hope that answers your question. And then if so, that was a good example actually, because we got to use the media catalog editor, the general catalog editor, when we were doing collectibles, and we got to show adding locations with the near to sea, and then editing the script to use all of the things in the catalog to actually create the experience. So that went over pretty well. So how do the question 2 and 4? I see a question about adding kind of responses in a screen message. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure if you're wondering about adding more than 4 options or not. So I can show one way to do this is to say, let's say, for example, once you've collected these items, then you want to present the user with a choice. So say screen dialog. So which direction are you going to walk? And so what I can do is I can use a screen message here. I drag that over, and then I can add a response. And so a response would say, I'm going to say that my option 1 for this response is north. So I'm actually asking which direction the user wants to walk, so I'll give them a few directions. Another possible option would be, say, okay, option 2, I'll say south. And you can add up to 4 at this point, and I'm not sure if that's what the question was. There's ways to extend that. We can take that offline if you want to ask us through intercom. But for now, this is how you could present a choice, up to 4. And you could have, let's just say the button text should say, okay. And you can save on that. Now, what we want to have happen is when they choose one of these responses, something should occur. So you can use this item down here, hit plus, and say, well, when they close the screen message, when they click the OK button, I want something to happen. Or let's say when they choose north, which I've assigned to option 1, then I want something to happen. So it becomes a precondition in the script, and that precondition then waits till it's true. So once someone selects north as the option to the question, which direction you're going to walk, you might then pop up with another piece of media. You might add something to their inventory. But again, whatever resource you want in here is up to you. You could say, north. And there you go. So that's showing how you can use the screen dialog to create different responses and choices for the user to pick, and then how to, again, use one of those choices to trigger an action that happens in a script where once that option is chosen. So I hope that answers your question. Again, I'll pause for a second and wait if any other questions pop up. I'm on a bit of a delay. I think I'm about 20 seconds behind what's actually happening. So there's a question about changing a character object and giving an animation walking and pushing the arrow to move forward. I think that's going to be something that you need to do in Unity. That is unrelated to catalogs and editors. So if that's a question that you want to explore further, I'd say ask through intercom. But that it's a bit outside of the catalogs at this point. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any other questions come through. Thanks for watching this video. What I hope you've taken away from this is how you can create a new catalog, how you can add an item to a catalog, how you can modify items which exist, add media, add locations, create a script catalog, edit a script, and use some of the items which you created in the catalogs, be it location, media, collectibles, characters, in a script in order to make something happen. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on Friday at 11, and we'll get that audio all worked out. Thanks very much for being here, and talk to you soon.